Yes. 1, 2. Yeah, man. Greetings. Jumaadoani there, live and direct. It's all about Rasta World TV, 5301 Norwood Avenue. We there in the Norwood Flea Market, alright? Just rock and come in. You know what I mean? Right now, we have some special guests in the place. You know what I mean? It's all about red pill and blue pill. You know, them man in the area, it's all about unity, strength, and we always promoting the unity as Rasta. You know what I mean? But at the same time, it's all about unity for the whole African people, black people, you know what I mean, on the whole. So wherever you do, whatever you're doing in a positive way, you know what I mean, I want to meet you, I want to greet you, I want to support what you're doing, you know what I mean? So I've been seeing these brothers from a long time. I don't know them, I'm Rasta, these man's Moors, but I love them, man, So, yeah, man, so we have the opportunity.
Hold on, we Ras too, man. Come on now.
I seen the pendant, a big Haile Selassie pendant there. Them have, man. Which one? Who had it on? Yes, I have. Beautiful, But it shows unity in even if it's in one or two ways we can relate on a platform that we can build. Let's do it. All right. So Rasta World TV, we have red pill and blue pill. So without further ado, man, let these brothers introduce themselves. They're gonna cause me personally, I want to know the meaning of the red pill and the blue pill. They're going to give us a little bit about themselves and what they're doing here in Jacksonville, because tomorrow it's all about red pill and blue pill at the event center. So red pill, blue pill.
Peace you and yours, brought lie to you, brother Blue Pill. Alright. One half of the twin pillars. Red pillar, the other half of the twin pillars. We are honored to be out here in Jacksonville with the family. This is actually our third time in Jacksonville teaching, a third or fourth time. So, we definitely look forward to bringing this information. But the information that's surrounding us right now, or the outformation for that matter, we're in a flea market, a place of business, right? A place of commerce, a place of economic, sustainability, and it's utilizing the culture, utilizing products around a culture to enrich, to enhance, and to empower one's life. Sometimes we just need to deal with the simple things first, and then by doing that, we could qualify the complex issues. Social media in this era of this age of information got people thinking that they could tackle the most complex issues in life before handling some of the simple things in life. And one of the simple things is unity. At the end of the day, you said that you was like, the brothers are Moors and I'm Ras, and I guess we get along. And that's why we're doing this tour, because we have to come around, we have to clean up the misunderstandings of even having to say that, because we know as a result of the times that we're living in, that those people who are awake, it doesn't matter if they became awake reading a red book, or one came awake reading a blue book, or the other one became awake reading a green book. Those colors of those books could be attributed to each one of those holy books of these religions. It doesn't matter. They became awake at different times on different streets at different angles, but they're still awake. And the importance of being awake in these days and times, because remember, it depends on the times that we live in. Right? The level of unity that we're even going to qualify to attain for. Because then sometimes you're like, nah, I'm not unifying with those people. They're goofies. I can't do it. You know what I'm saying? They're more of a liability than an asset. So I'll let them stay over there and do what they do, and we'll do what we do. But you live in a time now specifically where we have to entertain the idea of all coming together for a purpose. That purpose being our imminent, not survival, but our thrival. We don't need to survive because we surviving right now, God damn it. Like, if there's anything, if we go further anywhere else, we're going to be wrestling squirrels and shit and catching deer in headlocks. Like, we're just going to be you know what I mean? We're in survival mode. How do you take a situation like now where you see this world Babylon falling down, when you're witnessing the mass become pulled back, Babylon is showing its fangs around the world and is beginning to do what? It's beginning to fulfill prophecy because it's eating on itself. So Anybody that's into any kind of the books or any kind of biblical prophecy, you understand the times that you're living in now because you help perpetuate those times. My thing is, what are we going to do to prepare oneself? We have to understand.
It's not enough just to say, burn down Babylon if there's a large concentration, 44 million of our people are in Babylon as well. You know what I mean? And don't know how to live self-sustainably off of the titty of the spoiled milk supplied by the whole of Babylon. So there's a major education that needs to take place in a short amount of time that prepares people for the rebuilding of this new Jerusalem, this new Zion, you know what I'm saying, that we're talking about. So we got work to do. This is not light work, you know what I'm saying? These are not fanciful words like
That there too, because with the words of the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey, he said to organize and centralize. We must come together as one. And me being right there in the flea market, and I'm looking around, like, cause we have Chinese, they got the jewelry store, they have different peoples in around. But what you see is like you find like we would more support these other people than ourselves. You find like, but you see these people, when you see the Chinese, they keep everything within. Like they communicate within themselves. They shop within themselves. They don't come buy nothing from us. So I mean, not on a negative level, but we must organize. We must know how to control our money.
This is what it's called. Yeah.
You see me? Yes,
We must consolidate. What we have to also do is we have to completely remove ourselves from not realizing that we are in a race. And this is a race for your life. You know what I mean? This is a race of all races, and all races are actually in this race. They fool us by breaking it all the way down to, it's block against block, or it's company against company, or it's school against school, or it's team against team. No, it's race against race. And they're racing. That's why when you see the bomb drop, all of the races like, turn on, fuck that. Everybody turned American like this. It didn't matter what color it was either. They was like, we gonna push because we want to see this race win the race. How dare these brown people or these yellow people, because everybody they got beef with, you know what I mean? Even the Russians are like these beige people. You know what I mean? How dare they even try to play with us like and threaten us from winning this race? And there's a whole bunch of people that's willing to help them win the race. That's not even part of their race. They just willingly like, we have to do everything in our power to keep these people winning. And what I'm saying is, if anybody's paying attention, they are losing by the hour. They're losing by the hour. I have a report that says that the European male, the rate of his death spiked. The shit splurged. He shot past black men. Okay. There, I got the article. I got a multiple. It's a psychological evaluation that Harvard scientists did on white men. They're dying. So, man, listen. The white women are leading suicides. Like they all on heroin. You are the only person this holding this whole thing together is you. Get out. And the name of my lecture is In Too Deep, to explain that they told you to get out, but you niggas is in too deep. You cannot get out. You can't get out. And I'm going to show how many sub-levels niggas have sunken and what you need to do to really want to get out of this thing. Because it's all mental. As you see, it's a psyops. Donald Trump is the bad guy on Tuesday. Donald Trump is a great president on Friday. You know what I'm saying? Donald Trump was about to go to jail on Monday, though. How soon you forget. So they're playing with fear buttons. They're playing with all of the programming buttons. They're playing with their drones. They're playing with their zombies. They're playing with their property. You know what I mean? They're playing with their team as they supposed to. So the question that you have to ask yourself, we already declared a team long time ago, before there was politics, before the theater of politics began to entertain us like sports does. We already declared what we wanted to do. So my question is, what are we going to do now to do what we got to do, because it doesn't matter about if the 8,000 people that you know is not awoke. Nigga, they about to get a rude awakening. It don't matter if they're woke or not. You don't have nothing to worry about in that category. You just got to build and prepare and have some shit polished and looking clean and welcoming, because they're about to come and flood the fucking gates. The reason why they're not flooding the gates is because there's no building taking place to the level of what we can do just like that. I'm talking about just like that. Overnight, this whole shit could begin to change. You know what I mean? So it's a wonderful time that we living in. They're pushing they're pushing shit to the edge, and by doing that, somehow life is going to begin to evolve. That's what's happened in all world wars. It forced a peak in my bad in evolution.
Yeah, this body parts harvesting, because it's going on. I've been talking to a sis just the other day in California. She used to be a teacher, and she was like, man, she got out of that job and she's doing something else because a few children that she dealt with have disappeared, and this thing traumatizing. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's something going on, not just here, Jamaica, a lot of places. You know what I mean? So we gotta protect ourselves. So
We're gonna pass the mic on this. I'm just gonna add what was shared with me, and I'm sure the brother has additional information. But there was a young lady that came to one of our lectures, and she said that she was working both. She worked within the school system, and she also was working in pediatric care and things of that nature. And she said there is a unprecedented amount of children that have come up missing. She said not only our babies, she said in the hospitals, it's the blonde hair, blue eye stock too that are appearing. They're going into sex slave situations, trafficking. Our children are being harvested. So what you're seeing is an unprecedented amount. Like he said, the devil done took the mask off. If you gotta convince them out here what the hell is going on, at this point, it's time to let go. If you remember the scene in The Matrix when Neo was trying to hold a helicopter up, that shit is tantamount to what you trying to do with people that don't get it at this point. You feel me? You trying to hold a helicopter up with its blades swinging, and you know what I'm saying? And it's totally fighting you and interacting to fly off and do what it do. And you trying to hold on to it. Let it go. You feel me? Let it go. You're going to cause yourself damage that you're not going to be able to recover from. So what we need to understand, if you're looking at, the pedophile rings in D.C., and then the new gang gets into D.C., and then the uptick of these girls start disappearing, but then they try to have you believe that there was a separate situation, like, oh, the Democrats are just eating babies, and no, that's what reptilians do, period. They're all pedophiles, okay? And there has been so much repercussions because of people like ourselves trying to report on that. They pulled the whole tube on the whole plug on YouTube. So this shows you, this goes up past what you could conceive. You know what I'm saying? If they was telling us, we was reading about this in the 90s when we was studying the Bohemian Grove. They was eating babies and they probably wasn't necessarily they were sacrificing. They wasn't into organ harvesting because they had all the money in the world. But it's a lucrative market, yeah. So he could probably share when it started, dealing with that.
Organ harvesting as a means of commodifying a product, right? Because they probably were organ harvesting before that, but actually in Kosovo is when it started. Bosnia is when it really kicked off. You dig what I'm saying? When the Serbians and them was doing they were doing the Bosnians dirty. That's when they began. That's when they inserted organ harvesting into the black market, and it shot past, narcotics and other things in its, the profitability. So you have to remember the NGOs. Anybody who my question would be, well, why don't we just go to the Haitians, go to the Jamaicans, Go to the Mexicans, go to some of these people, the Dominicans, go and ask the people what's going on, and they will tell you. They'll explain to you what the UN was doing. They'll explain to you what Dying Corp and all of these other not even NGOs, contractors who come into these countries with immunity.
Team Rubicon.
Team Rubicon, all of the white helmets in Syria who are actually organ harvesting the Syrian children. These are the ops. So this is called a rat line. These rat lines are attached to what is known as the deep state. The deep state is the side of the government who could sit with El Chapo. It's the side of the government who sat with Ricky Ross. It's the side of the government who sat with Pablo, because everybody will, all of those cases, they're letting you know we sat with the government. We sat with the CIA. The CIA is what is known as the...
In Jamaica with Ciega. You know what I'm saying? And Vivian Blake and the Shower Posse, okay? All of that was implemented. You know what I'm saying? And all of that ties back to Rome. You feel me? So this is
in the 50s when it was introduced into Harlem, which was really the first chemical assault. They talk about the chemical in Syria, but what about when they implemented a chemical war assault against our people in the form of opiates via the Vatican, via the mobsters or the mafia and the government? And that's a fact. That's documented. So that began the erosion of our people on scales unprecedented, and it is definitely, you can't sugarcoat it. It would be the Achilles heel into why we are such a great people who have fallen so low.
Yeah. It did not take place because of slavery. We need to get out of the spell that our people are suffering from post-traumatic slave syndrome. Okay, hold on. Because Frederick Douglass wasn't going through that, and all of those people that came right out of slavery rebounded, and they got directly to their business. Those people were not suffering. And those great orators of that time did not tell those slave narratives. They wasn't telling those stories. They didn't tell them stories. Our people are suffering post-roots. And then the chemical warfare that took place, that's what our people are suffering. You looking at that new form of slavery. You feel me? The fallout, the nuclear fallout, because biological chemical warfare fallouts is a 7th generational fallout. We're only in the 4th or 5th generational fallout from the bomb that was dropped initially by crack cocaine. We haven't even scaled the entire 7 generations out. So that's what you see in these streets. The erosion of morals, the erosion of principles, you know what I'm saying? The erosion of the physical stock of our people. That should not be attributed to slavery. They are pulling the wool over people's eyes while they are continuously still going in Afghanistan, getting that dope out of there. You know what I'm saying? And even making it more available through, through big farmers, through big pharma and all of them. So stop falling for all of these ruses. Stop falling for all of this convenient mental nihilism that we seem to participate and line up for. Like your mommy was not going through trauma from slavery when she had you. She didn't know about that shit until they showed her roots. You understand?
I'm telling you, that is a new phenomenon. How you had there's so many inventors in the 1800s. They got poster series. They just can't fit it on one poster. It was so many inventors. They were not going through what they are programming us to go through. This new porn, slavery porn is what I call it. This is new. The depiction of us as subservient, weak, shuffling, yes sir. You know what I mean? All of that shit is fabricated. It is exaggerated. The same way that he has exaggerated all of the depictions of you in all times.
Oh, yeah. Just think about this. About strength don't come from weakness. Think about the images you see of melanated men in the 50s and the 60s and the 70s, the Jack Johnsons, and just the stock of our brothers. Go to them posters when the marches when what's my dude won the belt? Joe Louis, the bomber, when he was coming to Harlem, everybody was clean. My mother said Harlem was so clean that you could eat off the floor in Harlem before a dope hit. We need to focus on the culprits. It's dope and cocaine. Because if we understood that that's the new age slavery, then we could get out here and actually defend ourselves. We got our back turned looking into the 1800s while these niggas got the hood hostage. Your babies ain't safe. Your nana ain't safe. I mean, think about this. Nobody's safe, okay? When crack and coke hit, you have veterans that just came home from Vietnam. They just finished fighting a war in Vietnam where they was locked down in jungles, going to war with this dude in these jungles that they had no familiarity with. Crack cocaine hit, they was lodged in their crib, hiding under couches and shit. Ain't none of them ever brought no AKs out and defended their hood the way that they defended the jungles for the United States government. So we're looking at a co-opting that took place of our people on a moral, on a level in which they could no longer live with themselves because of the atrocities that they was involved with, and then they got hooked on the smack when they was over there, and they came back here, and that shit has eroded us as a people. We live in a deaf culture where the music, you feel me, is putting people on dope. It's putting people on cocaine. Now there's a whole new wave of smack that's hitting the airways by way of this promethazine and the lean and the pills and all of this. You feel me? So yeah. And the food and the water and all of these chemical attacks on our people that's relatively new based on what they had to do as a response to our people waking up and finally getting their own personal gumption and say, oh, it's mine for the taking. I'm finna take it because that's the only way you're going to get something done in this country. And they responded to that. They had a protracted military campaign.
I wonder, Adam, touch on, because I mean, we been stressing on like what we gonna do to make things better, same way. I mean, and like all this, like all people, we need a healing, you know. And we as Rasta, you know, we always, you know, look into what we put in to our body, you know, affects our thinking, you know. And you know, right now you see the people eating a lot of junk, who on drugs or whatever. People need to get off. You know me, but at the same time, I think, and I want to know what I think, you know, in terms of eating healthy, you know, organic, you know, laying off of the rice or, you know, laying off of certain foods that, you know, might just keep you in a state of mind that probably mightn't uplift you, you know what I mean? And coming from up that side, I want to know what you guys take on that.
I mean, my conversation about drugs is inclusive of food as well. So we can't just expect to tell somebody to put down crack or put down dope or put down pills. You know what I'm saying? It's the same way that you can't just tell them to put down chicken or put down sugar, because it's the same thing. They're addicted to the same drug. You feel me? And I would dare say that the sugar body count and the beef body count is higher than because I know people that have been smoking crack for 20-something, 30 years. Okay? I want to have a whole conversation about some of the realest love that I've ever seen is between crackhead couples. Thinking about the non-selfishness of them. He makes sure that she good. He accept her even if she go and she got to do what she got to do for the work. But he ain't going to smoke her without her. He brings her back. And they've been together for 20 plus years. I seen it. Yeah, you seen it. We seen it. What the fuck is crack doing where it brings them couples together where they have the truest of black love? I'm sorry. I'm just observing about what I see. Like, what can rival crackhead love? That's a conversation for another time. You know what I'm saying? But with the food, like you said, like, we're very far removed, because even when we're talking about organic and this, that, and the other, like, they're still telling us that, you know, seedless grapes are organic. They're still telling us that, you know what I'm saying, these things that are still grown in labs and genetically modified, stuff that they figured out in the 17 and 1800s. They didn't just start genetically modifying foods. Heirloom seeds have been compromised. They told you they from the 1600s. So how long have they been in a lab figuring this thing out? There are people that are very hybridized that cannot deal with. They don't have the anatomical structure to deal with that level of valiance of energy that's coming through the food. So they have to compromise the food in order for them and their stock to continue. We have just fell victim to that because we take everything he give us and we don't do for self. So the mentality has to be reinstituted. And like I said, that mentality is being blocked by the hustle mentality. You know what I'm saying? And because the hustle mentality is a fast food, fast everything mentality. I'm on the block. I don't got time to cook. You know what I'm saying? I can't even enjoy this meal. You feel me? I got X amount of time to scarf this down because I gotta get back to the grind and I gotta be on point to make sure that my head don't get blown off or the police don't run up on me or the 12 don't run down, as they say. So it's the mentality that goes along with that. We gotta combat the mentality. You know what I'm saying? They have arrested our mental development. Our bodies are just they're just going along. It's the mind. It's just the mind. And it took me to go into the mountains to realize that. You feel me? It took me to go in the mountains before I realized that. Like, you don't go nowhere else around the world and find a nigga. You know what I'm saying? A nigga is something that's centralized to the American experience. That's an American experiment. You can't go into the hills of Africa or to the hills of Jamaica necessarily and find a nigga. That is an American phenomenon that has been exported globally that people have adapted to. But that's nothing African about that. You understand? What African will sell another African a piece of crack? Okay? So you have to be an American in order to do that. We have to confront that as well as our people. Our people have to admit their Americanism and deal with that shit first before they could get into this African thing. Because when you go into food and the ingredients, what you are composed most of is listed first. So you're not an African American, you're an American African. And you got to reconcile the American in you before you move on into your Africanness. Because you do more shit American-wise daily than you do African. And I'm just sorry, like, we just got to bust the bubble and deal with it as it is. You feel me? We got to deal with it as it is because the way that we've been approaching this shit has been backwards. And as a result, we got our ass in the air and everybody's taking advantage of it. So if you identify yourself as an American and dealing with this Americanism, because Jamaica is in the Americas, I can't conceive of, you know, the family leaving and going to Africa and leaving Jamaica. What would Jamaica be without Jamaicans? I can't conceive of it. What would Cuba be without Cubans? What would Haiti be without Haitians? I can't foresee a time when they wasn't there and the energy of the people is embodied within the land. So if we've been here for multiple generations and we say we have hands that built this country, when are we going to reap the benefits of this country? You know what I'm saying? Because our children will kill for the corners, but what will we do for the block in terms of saying, okay, I mean, I'm working 30, 40, 50. I'm paying a mortgage for 30 years on this block for this house. So why don't I take pride in this neighborhood? Then why don't I take pride in this city? Why don't I take pride in this state? Why don't I take pride in this country? Not as the European has presented it to me, but this is a beautiful, vast country, and 3/4 of it are unpopulated. We crowding up these cities, and the cities are social experiments.
So it just goes back into the programming. They deal with the science and they understand the religion is to keep these Negroes that's in the jungle calm, domesticated, while they reap the benefits off of stolen land. Remember, fear of a black or more Messiah, the approach is always going to be different because you're dealing with the haves and you're dealing with the have-nots. You're dealing with aliens and you're dealing with natives. What do I mean by that? I mean, and I saw it today and I see it every time I travel. One thing for black people, travel is a must. We're going to talk about that tomorrow with the facts. Food, art, arms, clothing, culture, technology, travel, shelter, strategy. How we have to, if you studying anything, you better get the fuck off your block and start traveling. You better be a traveling ass person. That is going to open up your mind and your eyes. You won't understand who you dealing with until you begin to travel. You got to go to different places and see the conditions of your people in those different places. You got to touch the soil. You got to go and look at the architecture. You got to go into all of these things have to be done. There's different white people, different places. Do you know that? Do you know there's different pedigrees and stocks of white people? The same way there's different pedigrees and stocks of us. There's 10 different nations in America. Did you know that? Did you know they got the Appalachian culture, they got the Plains culture. They're different breeds and stocks of people who do different things. That's why you'll have people say, well, I know white people, they good folk. He's traveled places like Oregon, people going to Portland and Seattle. They're with a different breed and stock and pedigree of the European, who maybe didn't go through some of the things that the Neanderthal caveman, the Austrian, the Ostrogoth, the Visigoth, the Gothic ones, the Germanic ones, you know what I mean? The barbarians, like they call it on the History Channel, Barbarians Rising. They're talking about the Germanic tribes, which is the bloodline of Trump, which is the bloodline of Hitler, which is the bloodline of a lot of the people that's Zionists, that's over there in Israel. You feel me? So when you're dealing with who they are and what team they play on, bloodlines, they go with bloodline, pedigree, and stock. Okay, but they don't let you know that. They threw the blanket over and called it white. You just seeing white and you see bunnies and shit. You know what I mean? Snow White, and everybody's Snow White to you, not realizing that the Eastern European always historically has committed genocide against the Western European. The Russian, that's why they like, yo, we'll bang him out. We don't care. We're scared to death because he is one of their most formidable foes. He is the winter is coming. He's that, you know what I'm saying? They don't want that they don't want that smoke. They don't want that smoke. You know what I mean? He handed Hitler and them niggas they asses. You know, they don't want that smoke. But if it was to happen, it would be a holy war. It would have to happen because remember, you're dealing with evangelical, they calling it the Christian right. The ultra right. Who did Trump get on page for? He got on page for the evangelicals and the Christian right. Going back to what you're saying, what is this rat line of child pornography, child molestation, child trafficking, sex trafficking, human trafficking, organ harvesting is all tied into also shit that has always been tied into the church. You dig what I'm saying? At the highest levels. You dig what I'm saying? So these rat lines that exist is their ways. Remember, they have $6 trillion missing from the budget. Shit happened about twice. That goes to fund the creation of the ISIS that they have built up and created in Syria. Did you know that? Are you seeing the puzzles come together nowadays? It doesn't have to be conspiracy. That the government, like they'll have Russian presidents or Syrian presidents, like, yeah, United States of America funded. They calling them the rebels, but dog, that's them niggas with the black headbands, riding mad looking like a Puffy video, with the ISIS flags, with rocket launchers. So they're arming the ops. They have the ops working against other ops who another side of them is arming, right? This is how they are showing you the one-on-ones on how to destabilize governments. How do we know? Because it's a long fucking laundry list of shit that they done did happen. Forever. It's a whole list of governments that they have come in and they have a playbook on how to topple, on how to regime change, or how to disrupt whole governments.
It's called A Century of the Americas. And there's a documentary on Netflix. You know, the family, do not take our word for it. You could go and watch this documentary. It was put together by Oliver Stone, dealing with the 1900s to the 2000s. And for this entire documentary, they show you over and over, this is the playbook that they play out of. They go and destabilize countries and nations the same way. You know what I'm saying? Fund the opposition over here, fund them over there, get them both fighting. You know what I'm saying? And then you come in as the intervention.
But now we live in a new age where they have commodified the human body as a price, as a ticket, as a bag. It wasn't like that before. It was drugs, cocaine, bricks, you feel me, guns, you know, tangible items. Then they were like, yo, we gonna commodify the body. So if it's not organ harvesting, is sex trafficking via the deep web. Now, Into Deep, the lecture that I'm doing, the acronym DEEP, I'm gonna deal with the deep state. I'm gonna deal with the deep web, where a lot of this stuff is taking place. Where, if you know what I mean, I'm talking about a lot of stuff. And we're going to also deal with the deep mind, which is the Google AI that they're activating right now as we speak to police the videos on YouTube, because YouTube made a strike against all of the content creators. Nobody's talking about this, you know what I'm saying? But we have to let it be known that they definitely made them a humongous, I'm talking about, this was a huge move against not only the content creators, but the freedom of speech, which only shows me that we're quickly headed towards a situation where they are definitely going to destabilize what you see right now in this government. And I'm sorry to say, you know what I'm saying? I don't like to be the one who's, that paints pictures like that. But the way that it's looking, they are beginning to silence the media, because once they do that, they're able to do some of the shit that's being done in other countries that you don't know nothing about. They just throw a report out there. They said the other day that the Americans accidentally bombed their own people in Syria.
I heard that on NPR.
No, do you know what happened? They bombed the Syrian rebels who probably dropped that chemical gas the other day on them people. They cleaned them up, because this is how the story went. The story said that one rebel group gave America the coordinates to the other rebel group, but didn't know that that was their own mans in them. And then America came and scorched the whole team. And this was the day after Assad came on the news and said, yo, the whole chemical attack was 100% fabrication, false flag. It was the rebels that did it. So they're playing the theater that at the end of the day, I can't say we're going to just ignore this and worrying about building us up.
Yeah. No, not cutting you. Just close up. Yeah. About 5 minutes and we gonna wrap it.
You know, because at this point, you know what I mean, we have to utilize the reality that we find ourselves in as a catalyst to do what we need to do and stop acting like, nah, I'm gonna just wait till tax season. I'm gonna wait till next month. Like, hold on, there's a pink moon coming up. I'm gonna just get on board when the pink moon comes. You know, it's the time is now, and it's not the time to panic, and it's definitely not the time to react all retardedly. It's just the time to come together and to build and to be open and honest about what each person really wants, is ready to do to get that reality. Because remember, my first inclination is relocation to somewhere where a group of us could be, and then begin to just, build from that point on, where it's like, you know what, we getting all of that other trivial stuff out the way. Whatever may be happening, that's happening, whatever. But there still have to be a group of us that are preparing to create a reality after this shit goes down. You feel me? And that's the job of not just the conscious community. That's too broad of a statement. That's like saying the whole Harvard, Yale, you know what I mean? Everybody in Ivy League school has to do one thing this way. No, they got freshmen, sophomores, and they got lessons to learn, things to do. They got to prove themselves. They didn't even go and have a pop quiz yet. They're not tested. They're not trained. I ain't talking about everybody, because that's the problem that people get when they hear unity. They think kumbaya. I'm talking about unity is you got to cut the motherfucking, you got to slim up and cut some of the fat off sometimes. You got to change up a couple of friends. You know what I mean? So you got to understand that unity means getting rid of weak links and strengthening what it is that we have. The fugazis, the fake ones, the goofies, the ones who are just playing fucking games, the false prophets, the ones that are taking up room and all of these other things, the leeches, the charlatans. I could go on for days. They have to some of them they fell off of cliffs long times ago. Just, self-inflicted suicide. Like, you know what I mean? Niggas did the parachute mannequin challenge off the bridge. I don't know. But we have to work, because this shit right here, you know what I mean? Flea markets anywhere in the South, each flea market should have at least 5 booths with the culture. I don't just want to say consciousness, just the culture. the hair products, the artwork, some of the cloth, some of these books. There's hundreds of them, some DVDs. What about a little bit of jewelry? How about some soaps? You feel me? You know what I mean? How about some music? You know, all of your culture is enriched. And one thing I have to leave the family with is that it's your culture that is going to bring you back into your true wealth. Because know thyself. And once you know thyself, you know that the culture itself. Look, once I knew who we were, I just became it. It's just called being. I'm like, yo, I'm a be. I was on the plane. We was on the plane. You would have thought they was ready to pull a United Airlines if they could. Like, if they could have dragged us off the plane just to feel comfortable, they would have. Because we make them uncomfortable, because one thing about Europeans is they have to be able to identify. They're all about identification, right? They're all about categorizing. He's a friendly and he's not. But we were talking about it earlier today. I'm like, really, who's not a friendly? How many people have you seen get up in a European face and just base on them? How many Arabs just bark on them like, get out of my face, infidel? How could they even tell if he was an unfriendly? Because every time white people say something, niggas smile. Of all colors. They show cavities. Like, you know what I'm saying? So
yeah, like I got on red, white, and blue, so I'm confusing them. They confused as fuck. They like, he doesn't look friendly, but I like the jacket guy. Like, you know, they're conflicted. Like, they short circuiting because they're so used to what they're used to, and they're not used to what they're not used to. So we don't play enough games. We don't run enough ruses when it comes to them. We're not dealing with no psyops. We're not dealing with no propaganda. You feel me? It's like either you got a dashiki on and they see you a mile away. You got your RBG, or they see you a mile away. But we're not going in and playing these games where they're just totally confused and they just kept looking back. They just couldn't figure it out. They're like, the fuck?
Yeah, this summer, definitely look out for a psyops that's going to paint people of that, you know, prototype as a homeland threat. You feel me? Definitely look for that. You know, that's definitely coming because it's all fitting. I'm going to talk about it on Sunday. We got a free lecture on Sunday. We're going to invite the family. We're going to live stream it. It's going to call Fear of a Black and More Messiah 44. It's on Easter Sunday, and we're going to get into it. We got a lot of slides. I could be here for days talking about it. But one of the main things that we have to walk away from this whole thing knowing is, in order for something to rise, something has to fall. We just sat here basically documenting and, you know, time capturing some of the falling that may be taking place, some of the destruction that's taking place, some of the, you know, remember they said post 2012 is the ending of the Maya, the illusion. So the veils are being lifted and now it's on you. So we here, we letting you know that we lifting, the veils are lifted on our end. We see what we see. We see a bright future, a beautiful future, a positive, powerful future for people who are willing to do the work and are willing to put ego to the side and all kind of pride and all kind of others, you know, stupid things, fear, false expectations appearing real, you know.
Yes, you're right. Yeah, Jacksonville, red pill, blue pill. You know what I mean? Get ready. All right? Yeah, man. Hey, we about to wrap it up, but it's all about the unity, the strength. You know, it's all about encouraging more positive vibration in Jacksonville. You know, more lectures, more get one-on-one situations, like, because the topics that the brothers them on, and tomorrow, you know, make sure you come out, you know, and see the brothers them live. Make sure you get the out formation. All right? Jacksonville, Florida. You know what I mean? It know thyself. You know what I mean? It's all about Rasta World. We at 5301 Norwood Avenue. We right here in the flea market. Rasta World TV. You know, our first guest really. Red pill, blue pill. You know what I mean? And we excited. You know what I mean? The brethren them mad, them out there. You know what I mean? We fully endorse them, all right? Yeah, man, because we got to keep that energy, man. And, you know, hey, and without love, man, it's nothing, right? So, you know, regardless of wherever we coming from, man, that number one common denominator is that love, all right? Love for ourselves, love for each other, you know what I mean? Love for what we got to do, you know what I'm saying? So let's do this, all right? Jacksonville, Florida, blessings and good night, all right? Yeah, man, respect and love. Boom.
The earth is Adonai's and all the fullness is mine. Don't have to sell no drugs and engage in no crime. Keep yourself whole of the seven chakras divine. Remember that the seven spirits get cast in a swine. Just keep a eye irate and do the one drop on time. No worries, no problems, no stress, no strain. Them thing me left me done catch this iron train. No worries, no problems, no stress, no strain.